We have come across a disagreement between bros where one believes buying a house in 2020 isn't a problem at all, but the other wants to let him know why he's not seeing the hidden risk. Chapter 1.
If you've never done it, then how can you say you wouldn't like it? Look, man, I've been to festivals before, and I know what happens when you let a girl into your tent. Yeah, you have a great time. What's the risk? See, you're the type of dude who never sees the world for what it really is. To not understand the risk means you don't properly evaluate your actions. I'm just into having a good time, bro. She mentioned that she wanted to see me in private when Alesso finished his set. Am I supposed to say no? If you knew everything that could go wrong, you would have said no. A simple no could have been the difference between you having your car keys for us to get home and you not having your car keys. She actually could have stolen my keys and it wouldn't have been an issue. What do you mean? I'm gonna buy a new home. I'm putting in offers this week, bro. You know it's 2020, right? Every genius online has their theories on when we'll be hitting a recession, and everyone seems to be pointing to 2020. It doesn't matter, bro. Real estate always goes up and up, don't you know? Do you think people who bought a house in 2015 regret buying one? That's not the point, dude. The point is risk. Do you even see risk, bro? All I see is that chick from the festival in my huge master bedroom when I buy this new house. You're renting an apartment right now for, what, $1,000 a month? With utilities, electric, internet, you're paying like $1,500 a month total? Yeah, but I'm tired of paying my landlord. Yo, you remember that night when we were playing hoops at the basketball court and he came down wanting to play with us? Like, where'd you come from, bro? Why are you all in our business? Yeah, that was pretty weird, wasn't it? He'll answer our calls on Friday night when he wants to come party with us, but whenever we're like, yo, the AC isn't working, his phone is dead. Think of how much money I'll be saving by buying a house since I'll be paying down my mortgage every single month. You never seem to agree with my decision making. Just like the other week, you told me to stay away from the All-Star Special at that restaurant. My car smelled like literally like a batch of raw eggs by the time I dropped you off. You make terrible decisions. You'd be rich if you listened to me. And you know that. You're paying way too much in living expenses right now, and you'll be paying even more when you purchase a house. That doesn't make any sense. When I buy, I'll be paying my mortgage and not paying rent to some greedy landlord. This is why I don't want you buying a house in 2020. Prices have skyrocketed the past few years. It will cost more money to own a house with your monthly payment than you're paying in rent today. Are you sure? Yes, dude, listen, when you buy a house, especially if you're buying at these prices, you're putting low money down and you're paying PMI every month. It's just a liability. I thought owning a home was an asset. It's not with the way you do it. You get to enjoy all of my roommate horror stories, but the reality is I live for free. You don't live for free. You have to put up with your tenants. Sure. But my house is an asset because I know I'm going to bring in rental income every single month that pays for all of my expenses. I can't live with roommates. Besides, you make money in real estate with appreciation, don't you? Look at what's her name? Lisa? I think it was her name. Remember how she barely graduated high school, but she bought a house and then a few years later she sold for like, I think 100 grand profit? She has more money than you. She got lucky. Besides, appreciation play is gambling. That's not investing, and you certainly should not be buying a house because you expect it to appreciate. That's a strategy that ends up like all the people back in 2007. Buy at the top and you can't sell for a decade. What should I do then? Here's how to turn a house into an asset. You get roommates. You don't want to do that because you don't want the easiest money ever earned. You can buy a house off market with seller financing where you get amazing terms and your monthly payment is reduced drastically from the amount you're paying in rent. Okay, that sounds interesting. If you go off market and find a deal, you can get houses with significant equity. Think about it like this. Those houses you're looking at that cost, I think it was $300K. Imagine if you could buy one for $250K with the same monthly payments that you're paying now. That's now an asset. How do I do that? I've been inviting you to my meetups for a year now. If you actually came to one, you can learn. Yeah, but you know what I'm doing on weekend mornings. You act like you get laid, but all I know you do is watch reality TV. Bro, my life is a reality show. Your life will be a disaster show if you buy a home at retail prices right now. How are you going to sell? I know you don't have any money because I pay for everything when we go out. So you're gonna put a low down payment on a house, let's say, what, 5%? It costs around 8% to sell a house in agent fees and closing costs. So you're already underwater from day one. But I won't sell the house right away, so no need to worry about that. Yeah, but you never know. And one thing that really worries me is about interest rates. They're already at historically low levels. Basic economic theory states that when interest rates rise, which could very well happen soon, then housing prices will slowly decrease because people's monthly payments will be much higher.
While one seems to make his point very clear that buying a house in 2020 at retail prices and not getting a roommate turns the house into a liability, the other wants to provide valid reasoning as to how an asset can turn into a liability within real estate investing very quickly. Chapter 2.
This one time in college, me and a couple of my teammates, we wanted to go to downtown Charlotte for a night on the town, right? And we were drinking before we head out, and we found a DD that wanted to go with us, so we were being all mature. Right outside of the campus, we pull into this gas station. Me and a buddy get out of the car. We go inside and grab soda for the mixers, right, for the alcohol. And we don't say a word. We walk back outside, get in the car, and a North Carolina ALE starts flashing his fat flashlight into our car, just like this. And long story short, we blew into breathalyzers and we received underage drinking tickets. So you decided to drink at 18 years old, went out in public, and are surprised you got in trouble? You weren't there, you don't understand. Where did he even come from, bro? Yeah, you're telling me some law enforcement agent appeared out of the shadows and then you got in trouble. It sounds like you're an idiot. No, you're missing the point. The point I'm getting at is that life happens. You make what you think are good decisions, and then life throws you a curveball and you have to deal with it. Okay, now you're starting to understand risk a little bit. I always have. What happens if all of your roommates move out and your rental income is $0 for the month? Won't happen. What happens if the market tanks and you buying a house for $50K under market value means nothing because the house is now worth $100K under market? It's happened before, but it won't happen again. How can you be so sure? My strategy has risks, but I'd much rather play my game than your game. That's fine. But your definition of an asset is fluid because a house can become a liability in just a couple of months, and you know that. My strategy is working so far, and honestly, I see no reason to believe why all of my assets will become liabilities at some point. You don't see risk now? You're sounding like me. What if you finally get your dream scenario of owning a beach house on the shores of Southern California, and your rental income doesn't cover PITI? Then your house becomes a liability, a negative cash flow liability, not a negative cash flowing asset. I meet a lot of people at my Las Vegas meetup who own a home and it brings in $0 a month in income. That is a liability to me. Yeah, I understand. So since we've stated our opinions, let's hypothesize on how to turn a house into an asset. First, you get one roommate and then you can move up to a couple as you get more comfortable. Because the income makes it an asset? Not necessarily. In my opinion, if you can cash flow or break even on living expenses with roommates, then your house is an asset. I mean, I think if you can drop living expenses to maybe at least half of what market rent is in your area with just one roommate, then it's an asset. That makes sense. So what you're saying is basically anyone can get a roommate pretty easily.
Now they turn to finding a solution on how to turn any house into an asset. Chapter 3.
My question for everyone is, how bad do you really want it? I meet so many people that can't convince their spouse to have a roommate, and then they expect to be able to convince homeowners to sell them their property for 70% of its value. People want comfort and are typically unwilling to reduce their comfort levels, even if it means drastically improving their chances to succeed. Well, aren't you just a little hypocrite? You're doing the same thing. My situation is different because I deserve to have a big house on my own. I earned it, bro. Yes, you and all the other broke people living paycheck to paycheck in this city. Let's assume you don't want roommates. How else can you turn a house into an asset? Buy a house at a massive discount and hope that appreciation continues. Over the history of the United States, it's common knowledge that real estate appreciates over the long term, but that's still not a guarantee, so it's really only hope. Is it reasonable to expect it? I'd say so. You always preach about creative finance. Is there, I don't know, maybe any way someone can use creative financing when they own? Great question. One thing you could do is sell your house as a rent-to-own. Even if you have very little equity in the house, you could post it for sale at like a slightly higher price than what it's worth today. And you could offer a potential buyer the chance to buy it in a few years. And what they'll do is they'll rent the house at market rent today. And then over that time, you're cash flowing. And then you sell for a little bit of a profit at the end. Without agent fees, you'll pocket a little money. Okay, I really want to learn how to find houses that will appreciate when I own it. Well, I'm creating a course for like $1,000 where I teach people the secrets to investing in real estate. You should pay. After you join, you'll realize that I only provided like 40% of what you need to know, and then I'll have you join my inner circle for a ridiculous monthly fee. It's a beautiful funnel and I will make so much money. You charlatan.
With any conversation discussing real estate investing, there will always be nuances. This conversation will continue many times on the Bigger Pockets forums with no clear solution. What do you think? Is a house an asset or a liability? If you don't leave a comment below, Adam Sandler will make Grown Ups 3, and none of us want that to happen.